Peace and blessings. This is your brother Gabar coming to you live from the Boogie Down Bronx. This is I Am Fit. Thank you for joining me. You could be anywhere else, but you're here with me, so thank you for all the support. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, you know that good stuff. If you want to support, you can support PayPal, Cash App, PayPal, hashtag IAMFITPodcast. Cash App is the $ IAMFITPodcast 1, numero uno. If anybody's asking for money, claiming to be me, they're lying. It ain't me. So I think I hacked a few months ago in Instagram. So if a so-called person who is saying is Gabar, send me a snapshot of your Cash App. Don't do it because it's a scam. Okay, you guys seen the title. I'm going to be objective. I'm going to, this message to the Jewish community. So if you have any Jewish friends, tell them to come by. Let's have a conversation. Because I always like to look at the world from somebody else's perspective, because you can learn a lot, right? You may not end up agreeing with everything that person says, but when you look at the world from another person's perspective, you could say, I get it now. Me understand. So Jewish people, me brothers of the Jewish community, I mean, you are my brother. I could get into that. Literally, we came from the same father and same mother, but that's a different conversation. And, technically, everybody came from the same father and mother. Adam and Eve, right? If you believe in the Bible. But even if you believe in science, there had been evidence, scientifically speaking, that we all came out of one haplogroup, and then later on, we came out of one race and developed haplogroups later on, confirming the Bible. But that's a different discussion. I want to have a conversation today, and I'm going to set the stage. I'm going to play some videos, and you will understand where I'm coming from, my Jewish brothers and sisters. I respect everyone. I love everyone. This is about peace. This ain't about hate. This is about unpacking these issues that it's not going away. It's not getting better. I don't know if it's getting worse, but it's not changing. Every generation is the same talking points. And I want for my brothers, my Jewish brothers and sisters, to look at me and understand that this is coming from love. So you can maybe look at it from this perspective. So I want to play a video. And, everybody knows that Mr. Ye, a.k.a. formerly known as Kanye, has come out and criticized the Jewish community, specifically in Hollywood, in the music and world and movies and contracts and agents and movie studios, right? And this brother here, I've been watching him on TikTok a lot. I've been learning a lot from him. And if he's watching, I was trying to send him a message, but I think it's like limited. What can you, how many letters or sentences you could type in TikTok? I'm still a dinosaur when it comes to these things. So I was trying to invite him on the show, and I was trying to put a sentence that will pick his interest, and I'm still working on that. I guess only so many characters that you could post. So I took this video because I think this video, I do respect this video, and I like this video, and I think we're going to learn from this video. I think we could learn from this video. So I'm going to play this video, and then I'm going to kind of comment. I may stop here and there, but you will understand where I'm coming from once the video is complete. So fair use. This is 10 Jewish business secret revealed by a Jewish Orthodox man. Fair use.
So the whole world keeps on talking about how Jewish people are great at business. And, instead of fighting it, instead of calling that anti-Semitic, I'm going to go in the opposite direction, and I'm just going to own it. If everybody is saying that, then it must be true. So I, as a Orthodox Jewish person, would love to share with you some Jewish business secrets, 10, actually my top 10 Jewish business secrets, and I hope that you're going to enjoy them. This is great stuff. This is stuff that we've known for thousands of years, and I think that you're really going to appreciate it. And by the way, if you're here to hate, just go somewhere else. This is about love. This is about education. This is about growing, and go take your hate somewhere else.
Yeah, it's all about communication. No hate, just data unpacking. Let's figure it out. So he's gonna, and I appreciate him because, yes, Jewish people are good in business. If I've ever been in trouble, I would give me a good Jewish lawyer, a good New York Jewish lawyer. He would take me. He would get, because they're good at certain things, right? If I need an accountant, I'll probably get me a brother from the Far East, a Chinese, a Korean. They're good with accountant. That's what I hear. Some rumors are true. Some are not. But sometimes the truth is somewhere in the middle. So I appreciate him because when most Jewish community people, when they say, yeah, Jews are good in business, they get offended. Oh, that's anti-Semite, blah, blah, blah. He's owning it. I like that. And he's going to reveal some secrets in why Jewish people are successful.
You're not welcome here. But for everybody else that genuinely wants to learn, genuinely wants to grow, I think you're going to get a ton of value. So let's just jump right in. So number one, Jewish business secret is we actually have a commandment to teach our children how to earn a living. There's actually two things you have a commandment to. Teach your child how to earn a living and teach your child how to swim, believe it or not. And they're kind of related if you think about it. So it says that if you don't
Now, when I first heard this, I was like, that's kind of weird, right? And my mind runs all over the place. Now, and this is from my Hebrew Israelite brothers. Just because something is coming out of the Eastern Orthodox Jewish, Eastern European Jewish community, which a lot of you guys may believe that they are a product of conversion. But regardless whether they are the true bloodline Jews or a product of conversion, they converted into what I believe from all my studies, the Talmud, or what you will consider in crisis time, the Pharisaic way of expression of the Jewish faith or the Israelite faith. And I wonder, like, what? Where this swimming? It's like you got to teach your son how to swim, and you got to teach him how to do a business. And it's kind of funny because I was like, who are the people that are known stereotypically that they're not good swimmers? Black people. So I wonder if that tradition came from the original Israelites. I'm just throwing, something in the table. You can take it or leave it. That's something that we have to implement that in our Torah or in our tradition. And of course, when they converted, right, And I don't want my Jewish brothers and sisters to get offended, but I'm just speaking to my Israelite community right now. That maybe that's something that it tickles my bones when I heard that, like, because it came out of left field. You got to teach your son how to do a business and also how to swim. Okay. Fair use.
Teach your child how to earn a living, it's as if you're teaching them how to steal, because if they don't know how to earn a living, then their only other way to make money is through theft. So teach your children. Fathers have a commandment to teach their sons, to teach their children how to make a living. And that's number one. Number two, you have to be honest in all of your business dealings.
Now, this is the reason why, and what people need to understand is that this is the reason why you don't see a lot of Jewish blue-collar workers. There may be, but for the most part, traditionally they teach learn a business. And he's going to explain later on why, because that's Torah. Because when you go into the scripture, it says that Israel, the Most High does not like Israel to work for Gentiles, because unto him we are his servants. So that's where they got that from. So a lot of the things that within the Jewish tradition is not only Talmud and things like that, it's biblical base that we can learn from.
Now, I know there's some haters here that are going to start talking about how Jewish people this and Jewish people that in business. But look, you don't get to be in business for thousands of years, and you don't get to top of industries for no reason. And you.
Well, I'm going to push back on that later on, but I do believe that that's in the paper. I do believe that that's in the tradition. Now, whether people keep it or not, that's a different story. And I'm going to push back on that in a bit, but I want to let him finish.
There's only so long that a person could be dishonest until finally it catches up with them. So honesty is something huge. As a matter of fact, in the Old Testament, in the Bible, it says that you have to have honest weights. You know, it used to be in the market, people.
And he said in the Old Testament, and the reason I paused there, because I was like, I wonder if this guy is converted to Judaism, because usually most Jewish people do not call the Torah or the Tanakh Old Testament. Maybe he's trying to address a non-Jewish community, maybe, but I would like to know if he's a convert. And you should ask Jewish people when you speak to them, did you convert it? Were you born Jewish, or you converted later on and things of that nature? And the reason why is because if you are a convert, I think you should be honest about that. It's okay, but I think you should be honest about that. And the reason why is because I think this is disingenuous if you're saying, well, we Jewish people, but you converted 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. And I understand within the Jewish culture, once you convert, they treat you as a Jew. You become a Jew spiritually, so to speak, a convert. But I wonder why he said Old Testament. Maybe he's addressing us, or maybe he is a convert, and that kind of stuck with him. Just curious.
Had different weights to weigh their grain. You cannot have a weight that is incorrect. You must be honest in all your business dealings. The first thing that they ask you in heaven when you go there is, were you honest in your business dealings? Number 3 is to have a general positive relationship with money. A lot of people think that money is the root of all evil, or money causes all the bad things in the world to happen. The Jewish approach to money is actually very positive and very healthy. We believe that money is a tool to use to build communities, to build family, to build institutions. We believe that there's a very positive relationship with it, instead of looking at it as something that is wrong or something that is dirty or something that we don't talk about. The opposite. We embrace it, and we have an extremely positive relationship with it. Number 4.
Now, the actual quote is, the love of money is the root of all evil. And I do agree with him that you should have a healthy relationship with money and not think that it's all evil. I'm going to be a bum for the rest of my life. I'm going to live in a jungle with 2, sticks, and I'm going to be humble, because that's sometimes when religious people, sometimes they get very extreme with their approach, and they feel that money or success is of the devil or bad. So I kind of like that, and I kind of agree with him.
We help our community. This is something that people talk about that they don't like about the Jewish community. Well, I have other friends, by the way, from different communities, and they tell me that they literally try to destroy each other when it comes to business. They're not happy to see each other succeed. The Jewish community takes the opposite approach. We try our best to support each other. We try our best to help each other as much as.
And that, I do believe that that's part of their success. I spoke to a Jewish fellow years ago when I was doing marketing for, I think, Doshi Diagnostics years ago. And he told me that, he said, you know what's the secret of our success? And I said, tell me. I forgot his name. My God, it leaves me. This was about maybe 22 years ago. He said, a Jewish person will, if let's say a Jewish person is doing business with another Jewish person, and that other Jewish person is overpricing him or, robbing him in any way, overpricing him in price or not doing right by him, he will still stay with him until he finds another Jewish person that will give him a better deal. They don't remove their money outside the community. And there's power in that. Fair use.
We can. And you might say, hey, that's not fair, but you have to understand we're a family. Just like you're a community, you're a family with your community. Try helping your community and see how much more you guys will take off together and how much you guys will succeed with each other. Number 5, we give at least 10% of our earnings to charity. So that means that the more successful a person becomes, usually what happens in the world is the more their ego gets a hold of them and the more money hungry they get. In our community, we give charity in order, A, to stay humble, and B, it encourages us to make even more than we need. If a person doesn't give charity, technically you can make what you need and then you could relax the rest of the day. One of the big motivations for us is to give charity. So there's no limit to how much we can make, because even if we are satiated, we try to make more in order to give more charity.
Now, there was a lesson I did years ago when there was somebody that was against the tide and things of that nature. And people don't know this. And I probably will do the lesson again. I shout out to brother from Florida. My God, I'm getting old. What's the brother from Florida? My God, not Anthony. You know what? He always sends me some love. So let me go into the Daryl, brother Daryl. Shout out to brother Daryl. He downloaded all my videos, and I'm gonna see if I still have that video about the tithing. A lot of people are confused about tithing. There was actually 3 tithings. You had 10%, it goes to the Levite, the priest. That's like the court system of Israel, right? The priests, that's all they do. Then you have a tithing that you give every Jubilee, every 7th year or every 6th year, I believe. Every 7th year, every Jubilee, to the poor. And then there's another tithing that you give for the feast, for the feast days. So you can find this in the book of Tobit and the Apocrypha. And I did a lesson on that and so forth, so on. So a lot of the stuff that these brothers are bringing out is not all Talmud. It's all biblical basis. And with all due respect to the brother, I think the problem that the Jewish community is having is what's in the Talmud. He may disagree with me, or any Jewish person who's listening may get offended, but I believe is that the Talmud muddies the waters within the community, and when because there are some racist statement in regards of goyim and all of that, within the Targum, and a lot of these racist statements within the Targum, that, you could lie to a goyim, he's not a man, and things of that nature. Because even what we were saying about being honest, a lot of it he's talking about being honest within the community. It's like the Targum damages the what this brother's saying, because then they'll say, well, be honest in your community. You got to have fair measures, equal weight and equal measured. But in the Targum, it say, well, but if you're dealing with a goyim and blah, 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 and then it starts muddying the waters. And that's, I think, the problem within the Jewish community. But I could be wrong. I want somebody to challenge me. That's why I would like for a Jewish person to call in and have a conversation about this. Fair use.
Number 6, it's preferable to be an owner than to be a worker. It says in the Bible that when there's a Hebrew slave that works for a master, and they work for them for 7 years, and they want to continue working for that master, at the end of 7 years, they actually used to take a nail and put it through his ear and put it into the door. Why? Because it reminds the person that really a person should only be working for God, and only God should be their master. It is preferable to be an owner, to be a boss, than to be a worker. Number 7.
And that is true biblically speaking, because when that's in the book of Leviticus chapter 25. You could pick it up after verse 25 or 35. It goes into that if a Hebrew goes if your brother goes into the cave and he has to work for a stranger, he will work for 7 years, but then the family has to redeem him. Right? So a lot of these principles these brothers are following are biblically based. And it is the formula to maintain and not only maintain, but also flourish in your community. Let's talk about it.
Don't do to other people what you wouldn't want done to you. In other words, the world calls it karma, but as a real business.
Isn't that what Christ said? Right? Love your neighbor as yourself, right? And a lot of this, that's right, you must understand and you must study what were the Jews practicing during the time of Christ. And I got to say this. From all the people that are claiming to be Jews throughout the world, I will say that the Eastern European Jews, regardless whether you believe they're converts or not, I want to put that aside. They are the best example in how the Jews was keeping Torah during the time of Christ. So if you understand the Jewish religion, it brings to life Christ's teachings much more. Like I mentioned before, in regards of when Christ says, when they went to tempt him and said, is it lawful for men to divorce his wife for any cause? When you look at the writings at that time, okay, a man could divorce his wife for any, he didn't need a reason. So women, and I went back to, I'm going to repeat this when I went, a few shows back. Women do not understand and really appreciate how much Christ helped them by when he said, except it be the act of fornication. Because women were only as good as their last performance before Christ freed them, because they were literally like slave. A man could just divorce you for any reason. He didn't need a cause. And when you look at the writings, the rabbis used to say, this honor only has the Jew. Because the Gentile used to say, hey, why are you divorcing your wife for any reason? Well, the Jew got this honor and this glory. So women really had no choice. And if your husband divorced you, there's no alimony, there's no child support. He keeps the kids, he keeps everything. You have to go back to your father's house and hope he's alive, or you have to try to make it somehow. So when Christ said this, except it be the act of fornication, he literally gave you rights. Christ was a feminist. and a real feminist, giving women real rights. And all he asks you sisters is to do one thing: respect your husband as you will respect me. That's a different conversation.
Secret, when you treat others with respect, and when you treat others with properly, and you don't do to them what you wouldn't want done to you, that will come back to you full circle. Number 8, you keep 1/3 of your money in cash, 1/3 of your money in real estate, and 1/3 of your money in
Pay attention.
inventory. That way, if something happens to any one of your income streams, God forbid, you're hedged and you're protected. But as a real business secret, when
Let's
you
repeat
treat
that
others
again.
with respect, and when you treat others,
You're right. You're supposed to. You usually, when you have your income, you got to say, okay, one for bills, one for savings, and one for leisure. He's actually changing that because that's how I run my money. 1/3 for bills, 1/3 for savings, and 1/3 for leisure. You know, to have fun, blah blah blah. They have 1/3. I don't want to misquote it. Let's repeat it.
with properly, and you don't do to them what you wouldn't want done to you, that will come back to you full circle. Number 8, you keep 1/3 of your money in cash, 1/3 of your money in real estate, and 1/3 of your money in inventory. That way, if something happens to any one of your
Inventory savings, real estate, 1/3 in cash, and what he really means shekels, which is gold or silver, but that's a different conversation. And the other third was inventory, which is savings, cash, and the other one in real estate. Let's talk about it, guys. It's a culture. It's culture. Now, is this the only thing that helped Jewish people succeed? No. The other thing that I'm going to mention in a few minutes may offend some of them. No, I'm not going to go into blood sucking, all the conspiracy stuff. Nah, I'm not going to go into that. But there's another thing that also made them successful, okay, that they have to address. And I'm going to address it after the video. But pay attention, because he's dropping knowledge. Swallow your pride, remove your ego, and pay attention.
income streams, God forbid, you're hedged and you're protected. Number 9, we take one day off from work every single week. That means no emails, no phone calls, not even thinking or speaking about work. And that day for us is called Shabbat, the Sabbath. That's a day where we recharge, where we rejuvenate, where we don't involve ourselves in business. So that way, when Sunday and Monday morning comes, we are ready to hit the ground with a vigor because we had a chance to have some downtime. And number 10, probably the most important of all, on the American dollar bill, it says the beautiful words, in God.
Now, before we hear the conspiracy theory, and with all due respect, my Jewish brother, that was probably a bad look because a lot of these conspiracy theorists, look, his God is money, right?
God we trust. So at the core of our business dealings, with a vigor, because we had a chance.
Let me repeat that. I mean, let me back it up a little bit.
To have some downtime. And number 10, probably the most important of all, on the American dollar bill, it says the beautiful words, in God we trust. So at the core of our business dealings, we trust God. We trust God that He's going to give us success. That's why we're not afraid to take calculated risks, because we understand that we are not part of a random cosmic cycle that you could be burned at any given time. No, we trust that there is a creator of the universe. We trust that He will reward us if we try our hardest. He will reward the work of our hands. And when we go out into our work, we trust that God will bless us, and this gives us confidence to keep on growing. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's definitely a different spin on the whole narrative. If you did enjoy it, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment. If you loved the video, leave me a comment. If you hated the video, leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you guys. God bless you, and thank you for spending this time with me. I wish you a lot of success in all of your business dealings. God bless.
All right. Very nice, right? A lot of information, but I got some questions. And see, everything he said, I totally agree with. But I'm gonna also show you the flip side of that coin, right? Because what is the problem? Because if every Jewish person followed that, we will have no problem. But the question is, and I want to try to reach out to the brother, maybe bring him on the show. We could have a conversation. And this is the resentment that's happening within black and brown people. And this is the message from to Jewish people. And I hope that you guys take this from a place of love. My name is Carlos Manuel Rodriguez. Rodriguez, my family comes from the north part of the Dominican Republic. And through much research, I'm going to bring it out in the future. I believe that my family were the Jews that got kicked out of Spain, which are called today Sephardic Jews. The Negritos, the New Christians, Ladinos, that's where my family comes from my father's side, from my research. And, Rodriguez is actually a Latinized Hebrew name. And I'll get into that in the future. And I love that video. And I agree with everything that brother said. There's nothing that he said it goes against Torah. But there's a flip side to that. And I'm going to play some other videos because, and I'm going to say, and the next video, people are going to be like, okay, Gabal, where you coming from with this video, right? But bear with me, stay with me, right? Now, I'm going to play, there was a group in the early 90s, late 80s called Third Base. They did a video, I think the biggest hit was Gas Face. Those around 50, 45 may remember. It was two white guys. A lot of people don't know, white people were in hip-hop even very early on. Third Base, Beastie Boys, House of Pain, Cypress Hill, House of Pain, I think there was, the Irish folk. And they were down with it, right? Now, Third Base is a, I think one guy is Italian and the other guy is Jewish, right? And then they knew how to rap. Back then, you have to be an MC, a lyricist, to be respected in the hip hop community. And I'm gonna play a little video of it, just kind of show you his talent, and then I'm gonna show you an updated video that Blad interviewed him. Now later on, I think he became either manager. He managed Nas for a little bit. And he discovered Nas. You got some scholars, some hip hop scholars in the chat room. And so I want to play a little bit of his video, and then I'm going to play a little interview that he said, right? Fair use. I'll give you a background on this brother. He grew up in Far Rockaway, Queens. Obviously, he grew up with, black and Latinos in those areas, and a lot of his friends were like 5% Muslims, and then so they kind of rubbed him and kind of shaped him, and he kind of he grew up Jewish, and then kind of like started doing his own hip hop thing, and then shout out to MC Search. A lot of these guys, that. You had some white guys in the early 80s and 90s that grew up around black and Latinos in the hood, and they started dropping some knowledge. When he says that white skin came from leprosy. I'm just reporting the news here. you could see the video. I don't want to get shadow ban or strike, but I just want to set the stage. And I want to play another video, right? And the video that I'm about to play is a video that MC Search did with Black TV. I want you to pay attention. This is to the Jewish community. Because, I commend the brother who did the the 10 secrets, the Jewish secrets, right? And he said, I'm going to own that Jewish people are successful, or I'm not going to say that's an anti-Semite statement. I'm going to own it, right? But I want you to pay attention to this brother who is one of your colleagues. I think now, I don't know if he's a rabbi, but I think he's more Jewish, or he's more, I will say, he's more spiritual now. I think he go to, Shabbat now and things of that nature, right? He's married to an African American, when in the Israelite community, we will call her a Judite, right? So he was always Black conscious, understood the white supremacy attack on people of color, and he rapped about it in his songs. All right. So I want to play this video real quick, and fair use. I want you to pay attention. This is a message to my Jewish brothers and sisters, because certain stereotype are lies, certain stereotype are true, and certain stereotype, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Fair use.
His attorney sat me down with my attorney and said, Nas appreciates everything you did, but we're not going to sign the at-will. We want to sign directly to the label. And my lawyer starts talking. I said, don't talk. I got up. I went to Nas and I said, I wish you the best.
And what happened is that when you hear the entire interview, I heard it last night. What was happening is that they were trying to negotiate a deal, and he signed a contract, and he could have really screwed Nas, and he didn't. And he walked away. And this is the reason why he walked away. Pay attention.
The luck. And I left. Because I knew he couldn't sign that deal at Sony. He couldn't. Because they couldn't bypass me. And what I was asking for was extremely fair. Extremely fair. Way less than Puffy got for Big. Way less than Dre got for Snoop. Way less than Baby got for Wayne. Because for me, Vlad, I couldn't be the Jew benefiting from the black man in front of me. I couldn't be the Jew benefiting from the black man in front of me. For me, Vlad, I couldn't be the Jew benefiting from the black man. For me, Vlad, I couldn't be the Jew benefiting from the black man. For me, Vlad, I couldn't be the Jew benefiting from the black man.
So where he got this from? If it was not, going back to stereotype, I'm speaking to my Jewish brothers and sisters. He said, I could not have been the Jew that benefit against my brother. That must have been common at that time, because since Jewish people are successful and Jewish fathers teach their Jewish boys and sons to say, hey, learn how to be a business owner. That's why a lot of Jewish people go into business. Great, happy for you. But is this rumor, this stereotype of Jewish moguls taking advantage of black poor kids in the hood is something that goes back in the 80s, the 90s. And I mentioned before, right, that this brother, who is Jewish, and at that time he was not practicing Judaism. He said, I can't. He did it for the love of hip hop. When you hear the entire interview. He did not do this because, well, my father told me that I should do unto others as others want them to do unto me. I want you guys to pay attention here. He did it for the love of hip hop. So good for that brother. Shout out to him. And Serge always been respected in the hip hop community. Fair use.
And in front of me, I wasn't going to be that guy. I wasn't going to be Ahmet Erdogan and Aretha Franklin.
And not only that he mentioned he's not going to be the Jew, he mentioned other Jewish agents and managers that screwed other African-American artists. Pay attention. So it's something that's known. Not everyone, obviously not him, but it happened often enough becomes a thing. Clean your community. Clean your community.
I wasn't going to be Lior and Russell in every act that they signed. Like, I couldn't be that guy. No matter how much I could have benefited, I couldn't sleep with myself at night.
And you could see the entire interview. He goes into it, and respect to him. So I want to be balanced here. I'm not saying every Jewish person is a thief and no. But it happened often. It has become a rumor. It's in the air. Clean your community. When you hear of that, my Jewish brothers and sisters, and you hear Jews taking advantage of young black kids in the hood, and they got nowhere to go, and they sign this and sign that, and you know these kids don't know how to barely read or understand what they're signing. Say, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's not Torah. That's not in the Torah. That's not in the teachings. You're making us look bad. You're continuing this negative stereotype of Jewish people. Let's have a conversation here, guys. And I'm going to play another video. And this video, when it happened, I'm a big Sopranos fan. When Sopranos came out, I think, it ran from like 2002 to 2007, I think. I could be wrong, but it ran for a while. Successful HBO to Soprano, about the Italian mob, the Italian community, and how did they operate. Some Italian activists were upset at the success of the Sopranos because they feel that it portrayed Italians as all mobsters and not all Italians are with the mob. So there was some friction there. So I remember that. But I want to show you this within this small clip, and to kind of give you the background. There was a Italian boss. He was a music mogul, and there was an artist that there was some royalties that they was not receiving. So her family, I think it was a female, I forget, or male, I forget. It's been a while, but it was one of the artist representative having a meeting and trying to get their money back. Pay attention. Because it's even in these shows, it's known. And I don't think it's happening because the Jewish people. I think it's happening because it's just people. This flesh is wicked. So if it was Chinese running Hollywood, there would be, if it's Arabs, Black, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, it doesn't matter. Because this flesh always going to come short. So we have to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. Clean our house. Clean your house, Jewish community. If this is going on in the community, if you an agent in the record community, and you know that negative rap lyrics is destroying black and kids in the hood, black and brown kid in the hood, don't continue to sign these negative rappers. And I don't want to hear the excuse that, oh, well, it won't sell. Look at Kanye. Look at Will Smith. If you only give the young black youth, young brown youth in the hood, and even young white youth in the hood, positive, good rap music with some nice beat, they will listen, they'll buy it. We already have data now. Data. That these rap lyrics, these images are not healthy. And it's affecting even your Jewish boys and girls. So let's have a conversation. Let's have a real conversation. Clean house. Let's clean house. We'll clean house in our community, you clean house in your community, and maybe we could work together. We may not always agree on everything. It's okay. But let's clean house. Let me play this video real quick. This is a small scene from The Sopranos. I gave you guys the backdrop. Fair use.
Thank you, Jim. Let's get right to the point, huh? What's in this for you?
If you read Chuck D's book, you know that he advises that reparations be made by the Jewish studio moguls in Hollywood. Advises that reparations be made by the Jewish studio moguls in Hollywood. You read Chuck D's book, you know that he advises that
I'm gonna keep repeating
be
it.
made by the Jewish studio moguls in Hollywood. You read Chuck D's book, you know that he advises that reparations be made by the Jewish studio moguls in Hollywood.
So nobody better lie. Did the Jewish community went to call the Sopranos producers and directors? Because the success of the Sopranos, they kept it real, what's really going on in the street. It was not a cookie cutter type of environment scenario. The bottom line is this, folks. I live in the real world. I understand that in this social media, there's certain things that cannot be said. There's certain jokes cannot be said because there's certain rules that applies here that will not apply in the real world. But it's time for us to start living in the real world. Pay attention.
On account of the way black folks have been portrayed in film. Now, it's only germane to this argument in as much as I feel that the grievances in the music business are far worse.
And yes, Jewish people should be paying reparations in regards slavery. There is white guilt in slavery, but there's not Jewish guilt in slavery. There is, white people have apologized 1,000 times. Bill Clinton, every other president, every few years, they apologize about slavery. Not one rabbi, as far as I know, it said, you know what, us Jewish people, we also contributed into the destruction of African Americans. We're sorry for slavery. We're sorry for blackface. It was Jewish people doing that. I don't want this to become a thing that people think I'm anti-Semite or I hate Jews. No, I want you to look at me and sympathize from my perspective. Sympathize from a brown man that is looking in from the outside. And learn to look at the world from somebody else's perspective. And stop with the offense and constantly, I don't want to talk about it. It's anti-Semite. My God, you hate. No, this is love. Tough love, but love the same. And before we start attacking Mr. Ye, formerly known as Kanye, what drove him there? He has Jewish friends. It's not about hate. What drove him there? Maybe he could have used better words, but let's have a sit down. Let's have a conversation. Fair use.
You're talking to the wrong white man, my friend. My people were the white man's nigger when yours was still painting their faces.
And yes, he says, my people with the white, he said, you're talking to the wrong white man because he's Italian. And yes, Italians and the Irish got it bad. That's why a lot of Italians began to create their own community. And out of that kind of came the mob, their own street justice, so to speak. Now, some people may say that the Italians or the mob did some good. Or there's certain things that there was positive about the Italian mob. I'm not here to argue that one way or the other, but every group got marginalized to some degree. There was racism and things of that nature, even within Europeans. This whole white race is a fairly new thing. You either was Italian, a Greek, a Spaniard, a Roman, a Russian, and they always fought against each other. You know, shout out to White's old man, PJ. You know, his father, he used to tell me stories when the Puerto Ricans began to go to East New York, right? It was I believe the Italians against the Irish. And the Italians and the Irish always fighting against each other. But they all teamed up against the Puerto Ricans. This is history, guys. We have to talk about this. Fair use.
And chasing zebras. As far as Louis B. Mayer is concerned, what are you, fucking nuts?
My lawyers have done a little research. I think that the final figure is somewhere around $400,000.
And white people, Europeans, whatever, Italians, Greek, Jewish, whatever you go by, just because you suffer some pain doesn't give you the right to inflict pain to others. Because the whole segment of the show is that this guy did not pay reparations or residual to an artist that he's to manage.
Now, a cashier's check made to a Mrs. Idella Willis will set the record straight.
Or what?
Well, what was it that she called him? Oh, yeah. That nice man, I think she said.
That's that old school. That's that old school Dominican gospel music. You know, I was playing this with my wife yesterday, a few weeks back. That's how we used to do it in DR. That's old school, old school. You know about that. But anyway. And it's like this, folks, man. You know, the Bible said, blessed be the peacemakers. And I know within the Israelite community, there's a lot of frustration because we believe we're Israel. We believe that the white man stole our identity and is being called now the Jewish man. I get it. Let's talk about it. Right? And my Jewish brothers and sisters, I mean, how will you feel? Because listen, I believe I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I got receipts. There's nothing you could tell me to say that I'm not. And let's just say, and let me say this. You cannot prove that you're a Jew, that your father's father invaded Israel in Jericho or left Egypt. You can't, no one could really prove that. It's all speculation. We got some history. We got this, our last name. Okay, my grandfather was this. I thought he was that. My grandmother was Jewish, maybe, right? Tradition. And we're not the only one here in America. You got people in Africa, the Igbos, the Shanti, the Lombards. And let me tell you, it is coming out, my brothers and sisters, that, and it's being accepted even in mainstream, that a lot of African American could be Jews because there was a Jewish, West Africa was a Jewish hotbed or Israelite hotbed in West Africa, and they proved that there has been proven now that Jews were in Africa. So it could be believed that some of those Jews came here in the slave trade, those black Jews. Acriano is credited to be the first African-American ex-slave to began to write literature books and journals that he published. He's credited to be the first or one of the first. You know what he wrote in his first book? That he's a Jew. So my brothers and sisters from the Jewish faith, from Eastern European, I'm going to put aside that I struggle and I am not believing that you are a bloodline Israelite. But I want to put that aside. Let's say I'm wrong. But let's say you're a Jew, and let's say the African Americans are Jew. That means you contributed to selling and buying your own brothers. So can you see the resentment here festing? And I want to go back to what the brother was saying earlier. About Jewish people don't do it unto others as you don't want them to do unto you. And that sounds beautiful. But not all Jewish people follow that, A. And B, I got some question about the Talmud. Now, if I'm misunderstanding the Talmud, I got quotes, I got the book, I got the chapter and verse. That we don't have that those principles about loving your neighbor and loving your community is really dealing with the Jewish community. But the Goyams, it's different standards. And you said you're revealing the top 10 secrets. That means there's more secrets. So you see the suspicions here. I'm going to be honest here. Let's have a conversation. And maybe you keeping these principles, but maybe your other Jewish brothers are not keeping those principles. That's why you should clean house. Jewish people say, hey, when Jewish people know that other Jewish people are doing bad things, they should stop the train at the trucks. Say, wait a minute, man, you're making us look bad. You should not do that. That's not Torah. You should not do unto others as you don't want them to do unto you. Our rabbi, who is Christ, told us the two greatest commandments is love God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. So we believe that too. And another thing I also want to add, my Jewish brothers and sisters. Yes, it's through hard work and tradition, but we have to be honest. Jewish people get a lot of support by European power structure. There's a lot of support there. And I understand you guys have a lot of lobbying, groups and things of that nature that push your agenda. Great. But the fact that I think Israel gets about $6 billion a day or a year or a month, it gets a lot of money every year, the state of Israel. My personal opinion, a little too much. And I think it's time for Israel to be independent, financially independent. It's a rich country, a lot of inventions and a lot of business out there. I think Israel should be on its own, And I know the argument before you're going to bring it out. Well, blah, you know, we need this money because the Palestinians and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into that right now. But that is growing resentment. And from a brown man perspective, when I'm just looking at this, I'm saying it's just white people helping other white people. If these Jews were black Jews, would they be getting this much help? You see where I'm coming from? You see where the resentment starts? Because America, right, especially within the Republican side, but also Democrat, support the state of Israel, right? We got to help the state of Israel. You got a lot of European Christians saying you got to bless Israel because if you bless Israel, you're going to be blessed. But what about the black Jews in Nigeria? Are they getting blessed? You see the resentment? Let's talk about it. It's a double standard, folks. And now the black Jews, for them to get the crumbs of those support, they have to convert and accept the white Jews as the authority of their lives. And if you want to challenge me, I got more receipts. Because even if you have non-European people that the Jewish people accept as being bloodline Israelite, like Manasseh, the Ben Manasseh out of India, I could probably show that video, right? They have to still convert into Judaism. They are not considered Jews until they convert. Wait a minute. Isn't that a little arrogant and elitist? Why is their interpretation of the Torah and their tradition is not valid then for they to be accepted as Jews? It's elitist. I'm just telling you how it looks from my perspective. No offense. Let me see if I can find this video. Let's see if I can find this video. Where are you? Oh, here we go. Okay, let me play this video for you guys real quick. I'm going to show you. This is a group in India, and they look very, I believe they may be Israel. I believe they're from the tribe of Manasseh. That's what they're claiming. And the state of Israel is bringing them into the state of Israel, right? Fair use. Pay attention.
The latest group of B'nai Menashe, or children of Menashe, arrived in Israel earlier this month. They trace their ancestry back to one of the 10 lost tribes of Israel, the tribe of Menashe. At the airport, Israel's immigration absorption minister, herself an immigrant from Ethiopia, welcomed them.
We'll continue working to unite all the families and to make them feel at home here. There are always challenges, but we'll do whatever we can to help and integrate you the same way we were integrated.
The B'nai Menashe were brought to Israel by Shavei Israel, a non-profit organization dedicated to finding lost tribes and bringing them as immigrants to Israel.
Throughout their sojourn in exile, the B'nai Menashe continued to practice a biblical form of Judaism. They kept the Sabbath, they kept kosher, they celebrated the festivals, they observed the laws of family purity, and they also nourished a yearning to return to the land of Israel.
During more than 10 years, Shavei Israel has brought 5,000 B'nai Menashe to Israel, with another 6,500 still waiting in India to emigrate. While they keep kosher and observe the Sabbath, they are not...
Pay attention. Although they keep the Sabbath and kosher and all that good stuff, let me back it up a little bit.
Sabbath, they are not recognized as Jews by the Israeli rabbinic establishment. They must officially convert to Israel after they arrive and remarry.
So what happens? although they were keeping the tradition, the laws, the statutes, and commandments, and the feast days, they have to keep it the way the European Jewish establishment keeps it. Or if they don't, they cannot be recognized as Jews. That is elitist. That's offensive. So you mean to tell me that from all the Jews in the world, scattered, expressing Judaism in different ways, altering a little bit, but for the most part, they keep culture, they keep the feast days. The only ones that keep it right are the Europeans. That's elitist, and it's offensive. You shouldn't do that. I don't mind maybe learning from each other and creating several versions, or you keep it this way, I keep it that way. Okay, we all Jews. There should not be a thing that we don't recognize you as Jews until you put a yarmulke. Where's the yarmulke in the Torah? It's offensive. You shouldn't do that.
In an Orthodox Jewish ceremony. One of these B'nai Menashe couples, Devorah and Avihu Haukip, were married 5 years ago in India.
And that's the reason why I had spoke to many brothers, not many, but few, I.G.W brothers. And I saw videos and I spoke to them personally, and they say, listen, the problem is that we keep Torah the way we've been keeping it for years, and we're not going to now become rabbinical Jews or their version of Judaism. It's offensive, man. It's offensive. It should not be a thing that now the European Jews are the rabbis or the standard, and we all have to follow your standard. It's offensive. It's offensive. And these are the reasons why I feel we need to have more conversations like this. And I hope anyone who is of the Jewish faith understand it doesn't come from hate. That's not what I'm all about. I'm a free thinker. I love everyone. I want world peace. But before there's love, because a lot of people use the word love, there got to be justice. Before there's peace, there has to be justice. Because you could have a dictator terrorizing everybody, and everybody would be so afraid to speak out. That's a form of peace too. But if you want righteous peace, righteous love, you first have to implement justice, equal measured, and that's Torah, fair and equal measured, fair balance. Now, I believe that, yes, the 12 tribes should unite, but I don't believe we should have a government or a country. I align myself with, not doctrinally speaking, but at least in this point, I believe I'm in line with the Jews against Zionism. And I think I did the show a few weeks back, that you had certain Jewish, Orthodox Jews that are against Israel or the state of Israel and believe that the state of Israel goes against the Torah. I'm not here to argue that back and forth, but I believe that I'm waiting for the Messiah, who I believe is Christ, to establish the government. But if you're going to sit me down and say, Gabar, what would change your mind to move to Israel and support the state of Israel? I said, well, nothing. But if you say, Gabar, what would it take? What would even consider? When you will even think about it? Returning back to Israel and being part of that movement. This is what I would think about it. All the people that are claiming to be Jews throughout the world will sit down. Their leaders will sit down together. The leaders from the Eastern European Jews, the leaders from the Sephardic Jews, the leaders from the Yemenite Jews, the leader from the I.G.W Jews, the leader from the Lumbite Jews, all the leaders from every community, Ben Manasseh, those brothers, the leaders of those community, and that community, that leadership will be the Sanhedrin. That community, and they will all have equal vote. It can not only be all the rabbis will be the white rabbis, and we all have to follow your version of Judaism. You could fly a kite. You could take you could kick rocks. With all due respect. I think it's offensive and it's elitist. We could learn from each other. We could debate what's the best round. We could maybe, work it out later. Now, I would never agree to that. I believe I'm waiting for the Messiah, for Christ. But if you give me a hypothetical, that'll probably be the best way to execute that scenario. And I don't believe that Israel should be a secular nation. I believe everybody who's Israel, if the right of return is based on the teachings, the Tanakh, the scriptures, that the Jews are going to come back, and the Jews got kicked out because they broke the Torah, how is it we're going to allow gay pride parade, with all due respect? How are we going to allow pork in the country? I think Israel should be a special case. If you're going to tell me, Gabar, where will you agree? How, in what circumstance will you considered joining some coalition? It will have to be all pagans, all non-believers will have to leave Israel. It will only be religious Jews. Then we can say, okay, that seems logical. Because how is it that we believe that we got kicked out because we broke the Torah, and now we could go back breaking the Torah? See, and this is why I'm trying to speak to my brothers, my Jewish brothers and sisters. This is the reason why I believe you're not the true bloodline of Israel. Because how is it that you got the land, but the majority of the Jews that are in Israel are not keeping Torah? I got the receipts. It's between 10 and 50% of the population keep Torah. And a lot of them is from the Orthodox Jews. But the majority of Israelis are secular. So how is that making sense? How is it you got back the land, the Messiah is not here, there's not peace on earth, there's war more than ever, confusion and all kinds of mess going on over there, but you're supposed to be the God-chosen people? See, that goes against your argument that you are the Jew, from my perspective. That could be wrong. I'm open to dialogue and talk. But I just want you to look at it from my perspective, from someone looking in from the outside. So, what did we learn today? What knowledge got dropped? What could we take from this conversation? People of color who are identifying with the Hebrew culture may never come together with the Europeans. May not, I don't know. But if there needs to be a conversation and perhaps of uniting or making peace with both communities have to hear each other out. And we have to put away that anti-Semite nonsense. Because I'm going to probably piss you off, Jewish people, but it's from love. I believe that you are Semite, my Jewish brothers and sisters. Not all, but a lot of you. But I believe your Shemitic heritage comes from our brother Esau. That's what I believe. And I believe the majority of you brothers are descendants from the Edomites that converted from John Hycravius, the King Herod, and then you have other conversion like the Khazarians and so forth, so on. That's what I believe. So if there's any Shemitic in your blood, I think it comes from the Edomites. But listen, hey, I could be wrong. That's what I believe. So we both Shemitic. That's how I view it. We both have Shemitic blood in us. So I'm willing to put our differences aside and let's have a conversation for we could finally make peace and finally get rid of anti-Semitism, real anti-Semitism. Because there's always been a highlight on European Jewish anti-Semitism, but no one's talking about people of color who are Shemites. How we've been treated, mistreated, ignored, been treated as less than dogs in certain situations. Everybody had a tragedy. Everybody has a tragedy story, but no one has addressed our tragedy. And that's when the resentment starts. And yes, our people, we could do better, and we're trying every day. And I'm extremely judgmental and critical on my Hebrew Israelite brothers with the hate and all that. So all you these brothers that are out there with the hate and the white man is the devil, stop. It's not Torah. That's not in the scriptures, man. And the scripture says, if it's possible, be at peace with all men. Love, do not abhor an Edomite nor an Egyptian, because you was a stranger in Egypt, and Esau is your brother. Love the stranger that sojourn with Israel. You guys are breaking Torah, and you are embarrassing us by choosing to break Torah just because you got some hate in your heart, because you can't get over slavery, you can't get over Jim Crow, you can't get over, some Jewish people taking advantage of our brothers and sisters. I get it. I was there. I was there too, man. I was there. But you got to let go of that hate. And once you let go of that hate, you could think clearly, you could think objectively, and you could finally come to some solution. I hope I made sense. I hope we broke some ground. I hope I don't get canceled. If I do, follow me in Rumble. Like, subscribe. Until next time, Shalom.